Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Dublin. I'm back for another Eurovision reaction video. Today I'm going to be talking about who I think could win Pesma's Eurovisiu, Serbia's national final. So let's kiki. So today I'm going to talk about the final and the running order, who I think the judges are going to vote for, including the controversial comment from Olivera, who I think the televote are voting for, and who I think eventually could win, as well as my favourites as well. I'll leave some timestamps in the time bar if you want to skip a particular part. If you don't understand me, you can turn on the subtitles here and slow down the video. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the running order. The running order for Pesma's Eurovisiju is a random draw. We saw that at the end of the first and the second semi-final. I actually think the producers are probably pretty happy with this draw. A lot of the big favorites are in the better sections towards the end, but the first half of it isn't too weak. And generally we're kind of going between faster and slower paced songs. We don't have like one section which is very boring or anything like that. I have to admit there's quite a lot of like upbeat songs in Serbia's national final anyway, so I don't think they're too worried about 6 ballads being plonked together, because I don't think that's going to happen. So Stefan Shai is opening the show. Really like his song. I don't think the staging's energetic enough, so I hope he can bring something more. We did see that in semi-final number 2, the first 5 songs qualified. Now, that could have been because of the jury, but it does show that, you know, being early in the running order isn't as much of a death knell as it might be in other national finals, so people are being very well behaved. They're tuning into the show early. But last year, Constructor was last to perform. The first 5 songs last year in the final, only one of them got a televote point. But really, I don't think anyone in the first half is really in contention to win anyway. Hurricane are the first big act for me. They're in 7th in the running order. Now, I still think that the song is fine. I just don't think that they have the level of experience and charisma and fire that the previous Hurricane had. I think that'll come with time and experience, but yet the girls before were like dominatrix, super queen goddesses who just set the stage on fire. And these girls, the performance is already a little bit more demure because the song is slightly slower paced, but then also they just look a bit wooden, like they're staying in certain places and they don't know how to move freely yet outside of the constraints of the choreography. So yeah, I don't think this would be a good representative for Serbia. I think it kind of reminds me a little bit of Moya 3, in that just kind of a slightly lost looking girl group that'll come 11th in the semi-final. Interestingly, in 8th we have Chegi and Braka Blues Band. Now this is a group that did really well with the televote last year. They came 2nd in their semi and then they came 5th in the televote overall, so they got no points on the jury either time. So they are in 8th spot. Again, could do very well with the televote. It's a pretty good draw being in 8th. I would imagine the jury's not going to change that much. I don't know what the song was last year. Based on history, we would imagine the jury may not feel this. From 9 until 13, we have an LGB Superfest Gay Pride concert. Now I know that Princ is not LGBT, but I think a lot of LGBT plus people really like his song, very Eurovision-y. So yeah, we've got from 9 till 13, we've got people who have an LGBT connection. So we start off with Gypsy, who I spoke about in my semi-final 2 review. I thought his performance style was really magnetic. I don't see this as a contender, but I love that it made it into the final. I think it was very deserved. Now, my favorite of the whole competition is Luke Black in number 10. Now, this is my personal winner. I don't know if it's going to win. It doesn't have the same, his staging doesn't have the same cleanness that Constructor had. I think it's done by his team, but some of the camera angles were a little bit messy in his previous show. You couldn't see what was happening, or it wasn't super clear. Some of the elements, I think, his costume could have been a little bit more elaborate. I feel he was possibly playing it safe because he didn't want to come across being too flamboyant. Although Gypsy and Valari definitely didn't hold back in that regard, and they both qualified as well. So maybe he can be a little bit more daring with his costume in the final. But yeah, it doesn't have the same like definite, clean, pristine, polished final product that Constructor had. So I do worry a little bit about that. And the song and the theme for his performance is this like computer game theme. I wonder how many age groups that's going to appeal to. I think it definitely appeals to one age group very heavily, but outside of that, this kind of niche appeal, is he going to have a broad enough appeal to everyone? I feel like his vocals need a little bit stronger as well. I wish there were some parts where he would just stop moving, let everybody be a flurry around him, and then just like nail the vocals, especially in the quieter parts where his vocals are so prominent because the background music has quietened down a little bit. I still think this has a potential to win. I don't think it's going to win the jury. I would imagine maybe they might put it 4th or 5th. I don't know if he'll be able to survive that. If he wins the televote, will that be enough? Now is probably a good time to talk about this comment from Olivera Kovacevic. So Stevan, who's someone I follow on Twitter, posted this like short interview she did where she said that the person who won the televote in semi-final number 1 got 0 points from the jury. The first thing to note is last year the jury in the semi-final and the jury in the final were different. I would assume the same thing is going to happen again, otherwise this comment would be very strange that she would reveal that type of information, which basically whittles it down to like 2-3 people. I'm hoping that she's talking about Cheggy Band and somehow they won their semi-final and got 0 points on the jury, because otherwise she's probably speaking about Luke or Prince, because I would imagine there are possibly other televote winner contenders. I can't really see anyone else in semi-final 1 who would have a very, very high televote but a very 0 points on the jury. Maybe Philip Balosh? Nada definitely would have got jury points. Empathy Soul Project, I don't see them winning the televote. Boris Subocic, he did terrible with the jury last year. I think it's probably Cheggy, Luke or Prince were the people who won the televote, then 0 points. I don't see Prince getting 0 points on the jury. I just don't think it's offensive enough to do that badly with them. So I think it's between Luke and Cheggy. So it's a little bit worrying if Luke did get 0 from the jury. Well, he's pretty much screwed then. There's not much you can do about that. But yeah, I assume that they're going with that same format, that there'll be different jurors in the final. Otherwise, she shouldn't have said that if she's voting again. So yeah, I would guess. So continuing on our Belgrade Pride, we have Philip Balosh. Again, this is a big fan favorite. I like it. I wouldn't mind if it went, but it's definitely not my choice. But yeah, he's got a great performance. Similar issue to what I have with Zejna and a couple of the songs. It just feels a little bit too repetitive. It starts out high energy and then just stays the same energy for most of the songs. So I do listen to this, but it's more a song on my playlist that comes on automatically after another song, as opposed to one that I like search out. Okay, in 12th in the running order, we have Prince. This is my second favorite. I really would be very happy if this went. I definitely want Luke to go, but if he gets bombed by the jury, I know it has a Eurovision 2005-6 feel, but I actually quite like that about it. It feels nostalgic. It feels like Eurovision of old. It would make it stand out a lot in Eurovision because it is going to have that dated feel, but still enjoyable. It's a very enjoyable song, lovely melody, very ethnic, very handsome performer who's super beefy. It's just got like a romantic fantasy novel fairy tale feel. There's a lot going on for this. It's a very interesting show. It would definitely stand out if it in the first half of the first semi-final, which is the most difficult draw you can get in Eurovision 2023. I think this could do really, really well. I think this will do pretty well with the juries. I feel it has a broad appeal across all age groups. I can see kids liking this because there's guys in a costume. I can see older people liking this because it's a conservative fairy tale story. Plus, it's like a romantic love story. There's nothing offensive in it. I would suspect this would be in the top 5 at least, but I still see this as a contender to win. I'm not sure if I'm biased though, because this is my second favorite song from the whole national final. Okay, in 13th we have Falari with his Rubber Glove moment. Big fan of this as well, but similar notes to Philip Balosh. I just think it's a tiny bit repetitive, but I love that there's so many LGBT plus contestants who are making it through to the final. Like, I don't think that they're out. I'm making assumptions here, so apologies if they aren't, and I'm assuming, but they're definitely portraying a kind of openness one might associate with being LGBT plus. So I think that's great. You know, I have to admit, especially what happened with Poland, where they basically bombed Jan because they felt he was too gay, and he wasn't even openly gay or saying anything. He literally just wore crop top, and they freaked out like the end of the world. Which I actually saw someone posting on Twitter. They made a really good point that it's like bad for him to be himself and be gay, but it's okay for them to like cheat and rig and lie and steal people's televote money. It's like these really bizarre, hypocritical morals. So yeah, that's just happened in Poland. I have the impression that gay rights in Serbia were better, a little bit better, but not too much. But I've been reassured. I asked on Twitter and people replied to me. They said, no, a gay person can win. The Prime Minister's gay. Maria Serafovic won. I don't know if she's an out lesbian, but I think I think she's quite obviously a lesbian. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that she is. I think she's probably out by now. She's got to be. God, I hope she is. So yeah, a gay person has won before. So I've been reassured that it is possible. I hope it isn't that the song has to be Eurovision winning good in order for the person to win. For me, as a foreigner looking in, it portrays Serbia in a much more open way than my previous perception. So that's a really pleasant surprise, and it's a nice thing to discover. Okay, in 14th we have Gift, glam rock. They did very well with the juries last year. Again, I hope this isn't near the top 5. But I like that it adds something different to the final, but I don't want it to win. Empathy Soul Project, my God, no. Pass. Sorry, this isn't doing anything for me. And then Zejna, this is a big favorite with the Twitter community. They really do like this. I've seen a lot of people getting behind it. Me, again, same note. Too repetitive. Too many repetitive songs of these upbeat bops. Just not enough undulations, changing from third gear to first gear to fifth gear, changing around. It's just third gear the whole way through. Not enough climax, build up. Really love her performance style. Love the gold bursts and the red talking voodoo heads. Really great visuals. She's electric. She looks great. Love her with the 4 dancers. The song for me is just too flat. It feels like a hammer, like a woodpecker. It's just too much of the same thing going on and on. Another thing I've noticed about the draw is last year with the jury, the top 10 were all women. Whereas this year we've got a lot more guys. So that's an interesting contrast this year. Mostly girls last year, mostly guys this year. Roughly 10 guys, 4 girls. So yeah, much more guys this year. Who do I think the jury's going to go for? I think the jury's going to like, I don't know what Serbian juries do. I have to admit, a lot of these Eastern European shows, the juries do tend to seem like 50s, 60s. I think they need a little bit more age diversity. I'm talking about in general now. If you're going to have a national jury, you have to have a young person in. I know that they don't have the experience, the men that have earned their place or whatever. You got to have that representation for younger people as well. It's not just 50-year-olds watching Eurovision. Have a 20-year-old, have a 30-year-old, have a 40-year-old, have a 50-year-old, have a 60-year-old. Have that diversity in age groups. There's too much sameness in juries. Who are they going to like? I think they'll like Stefan Shy. I think they'll like Prince. Who are the top 3 I want to go to Eurovision? Number 1, Luke. Number 2, Prince. Number 3, not my number 3, but who I'd want to go, probably Philip Baloch. I think that's interesting for them. Or I suppose maybe Zejna. Who do I think is going to win? I don't know. I still think that Prince is going to win. I just think he's got that broadest appeal to the most people. And it looks great. It sounds great. If you made me bet right now, I'd say him. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's Luke. And if it is Luke, that's 2 back-to-back incredible alternative edgy like modern contemporary sounding entries. Constracta and then Luke Black, a guy and then a girl and then a guy. Amazing. Like really, it puts Serbia like starting to be one of my stand countries, because Constracta was my number 2 or 3 last year depending on the time of the year. Luke would be probably my 1 or 2 this year. So that would be, this is like new Serbia for me that I'm totally in love with if Luke wins. If Prince wins, Prince would be my top. He'd be my top 6, I think. That is what I think is going to happen for the Serbia national final, which is happening on Saturday. Let me know who you think is going to win the jury. Who do you think is going to win the televote? Do you have any inside sexy information that you can tell me? Leave it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another Eurovision reaction video very soon. Goodbye.